Okay, 5.5 parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, so we've got four lines that we're trying to compare here, and we just want to compare their slopes to see if that tells us anything about if they're parallel and perpendicular. So line A and line B look like they're parallel because it doesn't look like they're ever going to cross each other. So let's take a look at the slope of each. So the slope for A here, let's do a rise. Let's pick a point here. So the rise for that one, if we start there, it's 3. And the run there looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be up 3, over 6 in a positive direction. So it looks like my slope there is equal to 1/2 for line A. If I go over to line B, I can pick 2 points. And let's choose this one here. So we'll go up 3 again. 1, 2, 3. And let's see when we go to another point on that same line B, how many over we got to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it looks like the slope is the same for line A and B. Okay? Perpendicular means that the two lines are going to be at a right angle. So A and D, it says right here that they're perpendicular. So let's find the slope of line D. So let's find a point here. So we'll start up here, and now I'm going down. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 3. So my rise now is -6, and my run is going to be +3. So here I've got a slope of, oops, sorry, that was for C. This should be in here. We're looking for the slope of line D. Okay. So anyway, here our slope was -6 over 3, which when I reduce it is -2 over 1. Okay, so that's the slope of the perpendicular line. Okay, and C is this line right here. So let's take a look at what the slope of this one is. If I start at this point right here, and let's go down, just because we can see it better. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and in a negative direction over 2. So my slope there is going to be -4 over -2, which is equal to 2 over 1. Okay, so all of these slopes look like they've got something at least similar. They've all got a 1 and a 2 in them. Okay, so my A and my B were the same slopes. They were 1/2. My C, it doesn't really seem to have any sort of relationship with anything, even though it has a 2 and a 1 in it. Okay, but my slope that is -2 over 1. Okay, so it looks like I've flipped the fraction and made the sign negative here. That's the one that's perpendicular to my A and my B. So let's write a couple of little points here. So my lines that are parallel, that's easy, right? Here's my two lines A and B. They're parallel, so their slopes are the same. Okay? But lines that are perpendicular, that run 90 degrees to each other, looks like those slopes are going to be negative. And then what did I do to this fraction? I flipped it, so they're going to be negative reciprocals. Slopes are negative reciprocals. Okay? So long story short, for negative reciprocals or for perpendicular lines, the slopes, you flip the fraction and change the sign. Okay? Slopes that are parallel mean that you're going to have parallel lines, or sorry, slopes that are the same means you're going to have parallel lines. Okay? So let's take a look at a couple here. Okay, so for example, if I've got a line, two lines, that have both the slope of 2/3, they're going to be parallel. So my parallel slope to this slope is going to be the exact same slope. But here, the perpendicular slope, I'm going to take the sign, switch it, and I'm going to flip the fraction. So the slope of the perpendicular line to the one that has a slope of 2/3 is going to have the slope of -3/2. Okay? So a parallel slope, when the slope of the line is -4, same thing. You just write the same thing down. So my two lines, so here let's draw a little picture over here. So for 2/3, that slope is positive. Okay? And it's kind of it's a lighter slope. So these two parallel lines, both of those lines have a slope, let's say, of 2/3. My -3/2, negative has to be going down from left to right, right? So there's that that little picture. They would be at exactly 90 degrees. These would be 2/3, and this one would be -3/2. Okay? So for -4, well, what does that slope look like? It's a really steep negative slope. Okay, so my first two lines here are going to have, there's two lines that say are roughly -4 the slope. My perpendicular slope, I'm going to switch the sign, so now I've got a positive slope. And this is really a fraction, right? This is really -4/1. So if I take the reciprocal of that, it's going to be +1/4. And this is a positive slope, but it's a really mild positive slope, right? A quarter. So that quarter can fit in there. And you can see it kind of makes a 90-degree angle in there. Okay? So likewise, if this is the given slope, my parallel slope is going to be the same. And my perpendicular slope, I'm going to change the sign and flip the fraction. So it's going to be +4/1. Okay? If my given slope is 2, my parallel slope is also 2. And so now to get my perpendicular slope, I'm going to change the sign, minus, and I know that this is really 2/1, so I'm going to take the reciprocal of that and make it -1/2. Okay? Ooh, look at this one. This one's kind of fun. Okay, so look, I've got a slope of 0. So let's draw a picture of this so we can be sure what it looks like. Okay, so if here's my axis, and I've got a line that's a slope of 0. That's going to be a horizontal line, right? So another parallel slope is also going to have a slope of 0. So here's my other one that has a slope of 0. Now, if I want a perpendicular slope, this is really, we want to look at it like this, 0/1, right? Okay, so if I take the negative reciprocal of this, looks kind of weird. -1/0. But we know we can't have 0 in a denominator, and this is just going to give me what's perpendicular to that is just going to be a vertical line. So what are the slopes of our vertical lines? Well, we know what it is. They're undefined. That has no slope. Okay? So anytime that you see a slope that has 0, it's perpendicular. The line that's perpendicular to it will have an undefined slope. It's going to be a vertical line. Just like the slope that has, or just like the line that has a slope of 0 is going to be a horizontal line. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's keep going. Okay, so when you got your equation of the line here, you can determine if the given lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So I've got two lines here. I'm just going to compare the m in both, because this is the slope, right? It doesn't matter where they are on the grid. What matters is the relationships of the slopes. So this part here doesn't make much of a difference to us in answering this question. Okay? All we want to do is say that for line 1, my slope is -1/2, okay, because this is where the m is. And for line 2, the slope is 2. So are these negative reciprocals? Well, sure they are. When I change the sign of this one and flip it, it gives me +2/1. So these must be perpendicular lines. Okay, let's take a look at this one. The slope here, 3, the slope here, minus 3, compared to slope of minus 3. Are these the same slope? No. Are they negative reciprocals of each other? Well, I changed the sign here, but I didn't. The slope had it's not the reciprocal. Okay, so these are neither. Okay, those two lines are neither parallel or perpendicular because the two slopes aren't the same, not parallel, and the two slopes aren't negative reciprocals of each other, so they're not perpendicular either. Okay, look at this last one here. I guess is a little tricky. Just written a different way, I guess. The slope for this one, well, there's a little 1 in front of that x, right? So when I write this 1x over 7, it means the same as 1/7 x. That's the slope for that one. And here, same thing. So this is plus 0, but it doesn't matter. Okay? We're just comparing slopes. So the slope for both of these is 1 over 7. So they're the same, so these two lines are parallel. Okay. So let's try a problem here. Okay, we'll write an equation of a line. So what we want to do is we want to be able to get the slope from, so write the equation in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through the given point and is parallel to the graph of the given equation. So the trick is here is if I see the word parallel, that means they have to have the same slope. Okay, so we want to fill in the pieces to this equation, our point slope form. Okay, so if I'm going to write a line that's parallel to this one, I want to find its slope and make it the same. So the slope of this is in standard form, so we should know that that's negative a over b is going to give me the slope. So slope is going to equal minus 5, that's a, over minus 2, that's b. So my slope is equal to 5 over 2. Okay? So we've got the slope. Because we want a parallel line, we're going to keep the slope for our new equation as 5 over 2. And we're going to use the x1 and the y1 from our point to fill into our equation. So we've got all the pieces, we just fill in the parts now. So y minus y1 is 9 is equal to the slope. That's the same as our first line is going to be 5 over 2. So our two lines will be parallel, same slope. And x minus x1 was 2 from over here. And that's it. That's your equation. Y minus 9 is equal to 5 over 2 x minus 2. Okay. And let's try one more here. Okay, so here we want to write the equation in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through a given point and is perpendicular to the graph of the given equation. So, same thing. We want to fill in the pieces of our point-slope form here. Okay, so what do I need? I need a slope and I need a point. Well, we got a point here already, x1 and y1. That's already ready for us. And from this equation, we can find our slope. So the slope to this line is equal to 2 over 9. So the slope for our line, the negative reciprocal of that, when we go to put it into our perpendicular line, is going to be negative 9 over 2. I'm going to switch the sign. This was plus 2 over 9, so I'm going to change it to minus, and I'm going to take the reciprocal. Okay, so now we've got all the pieces to fill into our new place here. So y minus 13 is equal to, put the slope in, minus 9 over 2 times x minus 6. We can just simplify that a bit. Y plus 13 is equal to minus 9 over 2 x minus 6. And that's it. You should be able to do your homework. Give those two a try, and we'll see you tomorrow.